Good morning. I'm so glad you're here. Happy Sunday, happy Easter, happy 420, happy and or happy spring, happy everything, right? And we may not be feeling that way because there's a whole lot of energy surging in. And if you check out the Schumann, it's absolutely not coming from the solar flares because every time I check in, and I tried to print it off, and it was kind of hokey, but there's this huge line that just keeps showing up, right? Every single time that I go to check out the flares, that looks a little bit like meh, maybe a C3, an M1, and I'm thinking surely there's something else going on, right? But today's a celebratory day for me because 2 years ago today, on Easter Sunday, I did a random sort of off the cuff video on the solar flare symptoms, which launched me into tracking the solar flares. So, that particular video, I had gone from like 13 to 15 views to maybe 100 and was hoping to get to 500 at some point with my coaching stuff. And then when I did solar flares, that particular video is still my highest. It's at 18,000 plus. So I'm just thrilled. I am absolutely thrilled that this has taken off and it's been so helpful. And I have some new information for you today on what else we can do right with these solar flares. So let me just start by saying, when I started 2 years ago, um, talking about the solar flares, I had already noticed since October, November, December, January, like 6 months before, that there was a cause and effect. That when I was noticing that my energy would go up or down, or my clients' energy would go up or down, or my colleagues, I was tracking it with the solar flares. So I tracked it with space weather, developed a collaborative, love fest with Pam Youngins. I used to live in the Seattle area and followed her for years on her North Point Journal. And then when she started tracking solar flares, I was like, oh, thank you, because you're putting into words what I don't want to, which is all of the astrology, all of the solar flares, all of the weaving of the connections, right? I've been watching the Schumann resonance, and if you watch Consciously Aaron, you can tell that like last night at 11 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, this huge wave came in, and it was still coming in. So we're sort of feeling it today. We've been feeling it all weekend. There's some big stuff going on, and we want to try to put our finger on that. The other person that sort of started a little bit before me, but has really taken off, is Stephen Burns. He's a geophysicist, and he's really looking at the physical, the solar, and he brings some astrology and some spirit in there, which I just love him, right? So, this is a profound platform that it kind of took off. And I want to say first and foremost, I'm really thankful for you. I'm thankful that you're here and that you're watching it. And then I've got, 2,370 subscribers, which is just out of this world for me. So thank you. Thank you. Okay. So um, in 2011, I started coaching parents who had creatives and highly sensitive and sort of kids that just didn't work within the traditional system. And what I started to work on was that it's frequency based. And some of you who've been following me for a while know that when I started going after frequency, I started looking for really interesting things because it's invisible, it's intangible, yet there are predictable symptoms, right? There are things that we can just see over and over again that come up whenever we start looking at what's going on the inside on the energetic level. So whether it's individuals or parents of these seeded frequency kids, that's where I started. And then, needing information to prove to the materialist, world, or the very grounded parents that I worked with, what do you mean by high levels of sensitivity? So I started to use these measurable forms, right? Like Elaine Aron's highly sensitive person, working on sensitivities, working on normalizing some of these invisible energetics, right? Because what started to happen was this real-time measurement of solar and physical energy that's really started taking off, after 2021, right? Was that it made sense to me that I wanted to broaden out. And as you've seen me, I've like really put some interesting stuff out there. And I'm going to do that again today with our hips and our back. And I'm going to bring something in that you're going to go, I can't believe we didn't think about this, right? Because I've collected resources from some of the leaders that have inspired me. Lee Harris, Susie Miller. I've worked with Brenda Hoffman, Lee Carroll and his Chiron. More recently, Carrie Kay and Amanda Lawrence. And I'm falling in love with the information that Alexander Quinn brings because it aligns perfectly with me. And he does some light language work at the end of most of his broadcasts, which I'm learning is interesting, different, and at the same time, incredibly powerful and shifts my body rather quickly. So now that little, that researcher, that educator, that translator, that bridge is like, this stuff's pretty cool and it's working, right? So it's esoteric. It's it's what energy awareness, into adaptive parenting and self-knowledge, and it's ongoing, and it's like this bridge between what we think we know and what's starting to show up, right? So I wanted to sort of do the groundwork for that, because if you don't understand how I got to the esoterics, um, and who I rely on and how I put these pieces together, it can be very, very like, yeah, I don't know about her. And at the same time, tracking all of this, is important, because when we track the solar surges, when we track the collective and individual insights, when we look at acknowledging, right, these higher, what do they call them, heightened, sensitivities, that our psychic skills, our information is coming on board. So, what I'm going to say is that we've been getting a lot of information dumping into us, right, which is creating a version of us that's like coming out of the woodwork, and we're birthing something. I love this Empress card on the light seers. We're birthing something onto this planet that needs to be here. And, if you follow the Thoth deck, the Aleister Crowley deck, this is the princess, princess of Pentacles, right? And so she's got that same pregnant, she's holding the Empress energy, and she's got this pregnancy to her, and she's bringing in on the staff something onto the earth, which in the springtime is turning everything from brown and dead and controlled and limited into life. And so that's sort of what we're doing right now, right? In this spring, and we're sort of running at it full speed with the Emperor energy. So this is the Emperor in Osho, and this is the Empress in the light seers. And I like the way these two work together. They have a lot of energy to me. And we're bringing in things that are so deep and so big. So this is what we're going to focus on, is this sacral area too, the lower back, and it's going to be good. Okay. So when we're tracking this, there's some new information that I want to hand over to you. So first and foremost, I need to establish that, the indigo frequency started coming in. Where is she? Started coming in seeded individuals in the late 70s. I have a book on it. It's called the Indigo Assignment. You can read it. I'm also writing a second book. I thought I was going to write about the crystals, but evidently I'm going to write a second book about the Indigo Challenge right now, because I want to update it. There's a lot more information. The crystals started coming in the late 80s, 89, 90. And what they hold is a vibration, right? They hold the vibration of our entire world. And so for the crystal, it's like, how do I navigate in a world that's moving and changing and not the world that I'm used to or that I want, right? So both are powerful, and both are embedded with this frequency, right? And this assignment. So I very strategically called this the Indigo Assignment, because we are masters from other parts of the galaxy who came in and said, we have to bring some changes to this world, and we're going to do it through holding a frequency in a world that doesn't exactly want that frequency, or we're going to keep pushing it out there until the old, decrepit, deceptive, manipulative matrix starts to fall apart. That was the challenge, right? So these are embedded frequencies that are here to shift our world, right? And We both the crystals and the indigos have these innate skills, whether it's psychic ability, energetic awareness, vibration, adaptability. And there's a huge portion of our population that's been seeded with this. And then, as we know, when we have a frequency presenting itself, we as a collective align to that. That makes sense to me, right? We are aligning as a collective to these frequencies of vibration, right? And we're here to implement change. So, that said, let's say that you come in with this vibrational skill set, and then there's also rainbows and diamonds, but I'm not going to talk about that today. I want to talk about the older generations, which are indigos are 48 in mass and under, or if you came earlier like me, you're a teacher, a guide, whatnot. And the crystals came in mass in 89, 90, right? So what we have is this skill set that we thought we were doing pretty good with until Neptune went into Pisces. And when Neptune went into Pisces in 2011, which is the same time when I started shifting my coaching, it's if you can think of Pisces, which is what's unknown, what haven't you learned, what's the limit of your science, and how do you go beyond that? And then you have Neptune sort of bringing this in and riding it through 14 years. What it means is that, our inward skills are being invited forward. So think back to 2011 and think of, how did I start to become more aware of my sensitivities, right? Where am I in understanding that I have this innate skill set that's invisible to everybody else, right? Where is she? She's this one. I love her. These two. Absolutely innate skill set that is invisible. And it does affect, if you look straight across the board, our lower backs, our digestion, our hips, and that there are these physical points of embodiment that end up being our L4 in our lumbar lower back, L4, L5, and our left hip. So let me tell you what I found out, okay? Because what I'm also noticing is I'm kind of like the canary in the coal mine. If I have a symptom, then I'm here to talk about it, and then to look around and find out who else has these symptoms, and then find out, oh, I'm not alone in this, and let's share it. Let's talk about this. So I've been struggling with lower back pain most of my life, but it seems like in the last 10 to 15 years, it just got a little bit more intense. And so when I started to look at Neptune as deepening this wisdom, like going after, who are you? What are you really here to be? The moon energy, right? And Neptune's water. What Neptune's like that. I just go research Neptune. I could do a whole video on Neptune, but I'm just going to say, when Neptune went into Pisces, we started to bring these invisible innate skills on board online, which created some problems in our bodies. And the solar flares, when they hit, or the Schumann resonance dumps this energy in, it activates that pain center. Okay. So let's go to the L4. So L4 is where the old and the new realities wrestle for dominance in the body. Let that sink in. Your L4 is when the old world and the new world, or your ability to stretch and grow, comes up against that very solid physicalness of embodiment. L4 is also our flexibility and our stability, right? It's where our torso meets our pelvis. It's where these two are. It's the fear of instability, of letting go of old structures. So when we're watching something like a parent or a family system collapsing, or an education system, or a political system, or a financial system, we're going to hold that in our L4. It's where we feel unsupported. It's where we feel like, I don't know what to do with all of these swirling energies, and all I want to do is fight it, or clench, or do something with it, right? And you're going, oh my goodness. So this is where we get activated, is in our L4. So the opportunity is to anchor in our own inner stability and our own sovereignty, inner sovereignty. So that's our L4. Then I go to L5, which is the place where we decide. Hmm. We decide, am I carrying the world in fear or am I carrying it in trust? And it's where it connects our spine to our sacrum, right? And it's the bridge. It's the bridge from our active upper torso, our full awareness in the world, and our sacrum, which holds all of the deep DNA, inner wisdom and knowledge, right? And so when it connects, it's a bridge. And so what we end up feeling is responsibility. Survival, stepping into like, I got to do this. And I feel a lot of pressure. I feel like I might be failing. I might collapse. I might fail. So it is this where we carry our burdens, where we think, oh man, I just don't know if I can carry this energy, this frequency forward. And it's where we over carry other people. So our L4 and our L5 are completely activated by the solar flares, by the energy surges, by this, what some people call it ascension. I call it that enlightened cellular structure that's changing, right? And it makes sense, right? So I'm going to add one more to it, which is the left hip. Now, the left hip on the tree of life, within the Kabbalah, right, is the Sephira is called Netzach, and it is the name of it was victory, and I never understood. Well, I don't understand victory. I don't understand why we would name this thing victory. Or it's also called endurance, and it's on the feminine column within the body, and it's our left hip. So it's also the emotional center in our field where all of our emotions come in. It's where we flow with energy and vibration. And it represents movement, balance, endurance, carrying the emotional energy forward into action, carrying the essence of the divine feminine back onto the planet. And I thought it was interesting that I ran across this card when I was looking for something, which is the Five of Cups. It's where we have expectations and disappointments. And of all things, it's very interesting that all of the bowls are lined up along the left side of her body. And she's using her left foot and her hip joint and her knee to sort of tip these emotions to where they need to go. It was so insightful to see this card designed this way, because what it does is it's when we're in conflict with our emotions, right? So left hip. So when we think about this, we've got the lower part of our body, we've got our left hip, and all of this is right where our digestion is, right? So it means that everything is just being upset by these flares because we have these assignments that make it really, really hard on our body to know what to do. Does that make sense? I just thought that was fascinating because everyone I know right now has a left hip that's sore. They have lower back pain. When the flares go up, they want to go sit on the couch. They want to relax. So sort of summarize what I just said, that we're in the midst of a huge energetic systemic or systems-based physical changes, and that are measurable by some modalities, whether it's solar flares through the Schumann resonance, through the ache and pains on our body. And then what ends up happening is it's not just, it's not visible. It's not something that we can see. It's also invisible and impactful of our emotions and our energy and our bodies. There is a question here from Margareta, which I hope I said that right, which is, what about the right side? So within the tree of life, our emotions are held on the left side, right? Netzach. And on the right, it's Hod, and it's ruled by Mercury, and it's where our intelligence comes in. So it's where we navigate, and this is that push-pull all the time, which is, oh, the emotions are doing this, and the mind, especially if you look within the tarot, it goes wands, water, or wands, cups, air, mental, swords, right into earth. And this dynamic between mentally developing a construct of the emotions and emotions feeling without feeling restricted means that the hips have to work in balance to create. And I'll do more on Hod another time. But right now, I just wanted to do, for whatever reason, left hip and lower back. Okay. and we are being impacted. So before I go to my 6 tips, I just want to say 2 things. I've got a Patreon channel site that the link is below, where you can pay $11 a month, and I just dump all these posts and all this information. And it sort of sounds like it's time to start doing a midweek little short video on Patreon. That is an update from what's going on. Okay. Second, I'm a coach, I'm a guide, I read tarot. So how can I be of service to you? How can I support you? Just drop a note to me if that's something that you would like. Tip number 1, acknowledge the coming together of the big changes, that we're dismantling the old, we're beginning new things, and it is energetic. It's not just physical. In fact, majority of it is energetic, and we need new skills. So number 1, acknowledge that there are big changes coming, and that we need new skills in our world, and our world is changing, and in our inner world and in our outer world. Number 1. Number 2, deepen your invisible, and I like to call them the woo skills, right? Get really clear on your levels of sensitivity, your clairs, where you get information, how you see it, what version of management, self-management does your reading in the environment do, right? So recognize your sensitivities, gather information. I like the idea of sort of emptying your pockets and spreading it all out and going like, what am I really seeing? And develop a strategy for what you can do for you. Not what you can do for your family, not what you can do for the world out there, but what can you do for you, your field, and your body? Because you have to take care of yourself first, right? Number 3, nurture your lower back and your hips and your gut, right? Your digestive system. These areas are taking on, where did he go? All of these burdens. We are just tied up in knots with all of this. Our body hurts. Everything hurts. So what we want to do is we want to nurture them and take the pressure off by being softer. So this isn't the time where you go, I just need to stretch harder. I need to exercise more. I need to build up my body strength. That might be what we need. However, what happens if we just need to sit and rest, or do some gentle stretches or some baths, and let this body know, these body parts, that we are paying attention and that we're helping them heal, right? Number 4, well, I guess to finish number 3 is to be kind, to slow down, and slow down as much as you can. And number 4, rest is not a weakness, it's wisdom. I think if we do anything on these tips, resting is not a weakness, it is wisdom. It's where that we have self-knowledge of our body, of our field, um, of our roles, and we're here to understand and manage all that. So what if that is the real purpose of being here and being human, is that we're going to take some things on in our body, and our body's going to hurt, and we're going to need to take care of it, right? Number 5, know that you're going against the grain, that you're stepping out of conditioned states of being, that you're beginning to question everything like that rebel. How could you not, when this much information starts coming into you, right? And that in order to be strong, to be sovereign, to have internal power, and to be fully conscious, we have to know that we are going to be different than the norms. It's going to be okay. And then number 6, to have compassion for that we are here, right? That we're carrying the world forward, that it's hard, that it isn't easy. And that we thought we wanted change until it started to show up, and now it's happening rapidly, and it's happening physically, and it's happening energetically around us. And this is a resource that we can use together for this. So put your comments, put your symptoms, put your remarks down there, and let's keep chatting about this. And I will see you next week. Take care. Bye bye.